Baltimore, Maryland.
A city once proud, once industrial, now hollowed out. Factories shuttered, jobs gone, streets surrendered to drugs and despair. And in this city's darkest corners, a man rose not to power, but to infamy. Joseph Roy Metheny, a forklift driver with a steady hand by day, a drifter, addict, and killer by night. He didn't just take lives, he claimed he fed them to strangers. Court records say one thing, his confessions say another. Between them lies one of the most disturbing stories in American crime. This is the story of Joseph Metheny, the Butcher of Baltimore. Joseph Roy Metheny was born on March 2nd, 1955, in Essex, Maryland. He was one of 6 children in a low-income family. His father, Julian, was a person with alcoholism who died in a car crash when Joe was only 6 years old. His mother, Audrey, suddenly found herself working long hours at multiple jobs, trying to keep the family afloat. Metheny would later tell the world he had been abandoned. He claimed his mother sent the children to live in foster homes. He even told some people she had died when he was young. But Audrey denied it. She swore she kept her children together, worked herself ragged to feed them, and never once abandoned them. 2 versions of the same childhood. One paints a victim, the other an ordinary boy. Which was true? With Metheny, truth and lie were always entangled. As a teenager, he did well in school, his mother insisted. Polite, bright, above average. But Metheny chose a different story for himself. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the US Army. He would tell people he fought in Vietnam, came back addicted to heroin, scarred by war. The truth? Records place him in Germany. By 1973, the Vietnam War was drawing to a close. Almost no American troops remained. Even here at the beginning, Metheny was inventing himself. Half man, half myth. By the 1980s, Metheny had built a reputation. By day, he was a dependable forklift driver. He worked at the Joe Stein and Son Pallet Company, moving heavy wood, keeping the yard running. Co-workers remembered him as a joker. He sang off-key to the radio. He played harmless pranks. But when the workday ended, Metheny vanished into another world. Bars, crack houses, homeless encampments under Baltimore's bridges. He spent his wages on drugs and liquor, a bottle of Southern Comfort every night, needle marks from heroin, white smoke of crack cocaine. He was 2 men in one body, one who clocked in every morning, and one who stumbled through the city's broken streets by night. In 1988, he fathered a child with a girlfriend who was also an addict. For a moment there was family. For a moment there was hope. But then she left him. She took their son and disappeared. Metheny told himself it was betrayal. That act became the center of his obsession. He would spend years searching for her in the streets and the encampments. And when he could not find her, he turned his rage against anyone who reminded him of her. It was July 1994. A woman named Catherine Magaziner was working the streets of Baltimore. She was 39 years old, struggling with addiction. Metheny lured her back to his trailer at the pallet yard. They had sex. Then he strangled her with his bare hands. To be sure, he wrapped an extension cord around her neck. He buried her nude body in a shallow grave behind the yard. 6 months later, he dug her back up, removed her skull, tossed it in the trash. When police eventually caught him, he led them back to that same spot. They found her remains exactly where he said they would be. For Metheny, this was only the beginning. The summer of 1995. Across the Patapsco River from downtown Baltimore stood the Hanover Street Bridge. Beneath it, a sprawling encampment known as Tent City, a place where the unhoused, the addicted, and the broken gathered. Metheny went there looking for his ex-girlfriend. Instead, he found rage. He picked up an axe. In the shadows of the tents, he murdered two men, Randall Brewer and Randy Piker. In later confessions, Metheny claimed he killed three more that night: sex workers, a fisherman who had seen too much. He said he dumped their bodies into the river, weighed down with rocks. But when police dragged the waters, they found nothing. No bodies, no proof. Later that year, another man named Larry Amos was caught with the very same axe. He pleaded guilty to a separate manslaughter. The cases blurred together, and Joseph Metheny walked free. He would tell investigators years later that he should have been stopped then. But no one believed he was the monster he claimed to be. After Tent City, Metheny returned to the pallet yard. He convinced his boss to let him live in a small trailer on the lot. By day, he worked forklifts. On weekends, he opened a roadside barbecue stand. And here is where myth overtakes fact. Metheny bragged that when he killed, he butchered the bodies, mixed the flesh with pork, and served it in sandwiches. He claimed customers came, hungry and unsuspecting, and ate human meat without knowing. Court records never proved it. No bodies were recovered. No meat was tested. It remains only his word. But in Baltimore, the story spread like fire. And in the legend of Joe Metheny, the barbecue pit became a horror symbol, an image too awful to forget. November 1996. Kimberly Lynn Spicer, 23 years old, left her mother's home after an argument. Her brother had recently died of an overdose. She was grieving, spiraling deeper into drugs. She ended up at Uncle Walt's bar on Washington Boulevard. There she met Joseph Metheny. They returned to his trailer at the pallet yard. There he stabbed her 26 times. Then he had sex with her corpse. Then shoved an empty beer bottle inside her body. He wrapped her in a red tarp, hid her beneath a trailer. A month later, he showed the corpse to a coworker. The man reported it to the police. This time, the walls closed in. December 1996. Rita Kemper had used drugs with Metheny before. That night, he lured her to the trailer. When she resisted his sexual advances, he beat her, dragged her back inside. "I'm going to kill you," he told her, "and bury you with the others." But Rita fought back. She smashed through a window, tore her skin climbing over barbed wire, and sprinted down the road until she found a passing police car. She lived, and because she lived, Metheny's secrets were unraveling. Arrested in December 1996, Metheny started talking. He confessed to 10 murders, claimed he had been killing since the 1970s, claimed he dumped bodies in rivers, hid them in woods, and scattered bones across Baltimore. Police searched. Most of his claims led nowhere. In the courtroom, Metheny was unpredictable. Some days, he broke down in tears, begging for help. Other days, he sneered, carved an inverted cross into his forehead, and mocked the victims' families. He told the judge, "I enjoyed it. I have no remorse. My only regret is that I didn't kill the two I was really after, my ex and her pimp." For jurors, it was hard to tell which was more chilling, what he admitted, or what he seemed to invent. In 1997, Metheny was convicted of the attack on Rita Kemper. He received 50 years for kidnapping and sexual assault. In 1998, he was convicted of murdering Kimberly Spicer and Catherine Magaziner. For Spicer's murder, he was sentenced to death. For Magaziner, life in prison. 2 years later, Maryland's Court of Appeals overturned the death sentence. Joseph Metheny would serve life without parole. Behind bars, he continued to boast. One day, weeping, the next, laughing. He seemed less like a man awaiting punishment than a man auditioning for his own legend. On August 5th, 2017,
a convicted Baltimore serial killer has died this weekend. Joe Metheny, the bald man in the video, was found dead in his cell. The 62-year-old was serving 2 life sentences without parole for kidnapping, sexual assault, and 2 counts of murder.
Guards at Western Correctional Institution found Joseph Metheny dead in his cell. He was 62 years old. The cause of death was never released. Some believe he took his own life, ending it the way he always said he wanted, with execution. Others think his body gave out. Whatever the truth, his silence was final. Joseph Roy Metheny, a man who blurred the line between fact and fiction. A killer, proven in court. A cannibal, only in his own words. He wanted to be remembered as a monster, and in that, he succeeded. The Butcher of Baltimore leaves behind not just the pain of his victims' families, but a story twisted into legend. A story of how one man used lies, violence, and fear to carve his name into the darkest chapters of a broken city. Even in death, Joseph Metheny remains what he always wanted to be. A nightmare you can't quite shake.